be nice to serve, a nice, easy term. But we have an opportunity to change the fabric of our country. We have an opportunity to reset the table.
Not only did Donald Trump reset the table for trade over the past few days with these reciprocal tariffs, but he's completely reset the Federal Reserve strategy for how they are about to tackle this market. Because with nearly $36.7 trillion in U.S. national debt, $7 trillion in federal spending, and only $5 trillion in U.S. federal tax revenue, leaving a federal budget deficit of over $2 trillion. In my video yesterday, we talked about how the Treasury has about $7 trillion of debt to refinance in 2025.
So when I got in, the press went absolutely crazy the first week. They said, eggs have quadrupled in price. I said, I just got here. Tell me about it. And Brooke Rollins and our team did a great job, and eggs are down now 79%. And this was a problem that somebody else would have taken a long time to cure. We have energy is down. We have interest rates are down. We have groceries, meaning food is down. We have everything is down at levels that nobody ever thought possible.
And not only has everything been down, but the crypto market has been drastically down over the past month, with projects dropping 20% to 50%. Even though the past day we've seen some recoveries, but this means opportunity. So if you are looking for the best projects to accumulate during this dip, in this video we have some breaking crypto news. On top of that, what's happening on the charts? What is the data telling us? And what is the most likely scenarios to happen next in the short term, the midterm, and the long term, based on previous market cycles? Because a lot of people think that this time is different. But is this cycle playing out similar to all the other cycles in the past? Or are we about to go into a prolonged bear market that is going to wreck your portfolio even more? Well, all of which we're going to cover over the next few minutes. So if you're feeling bullish during the market pullback this year, comment 777. If you're feeling blessed, comment 777. And as always, to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it.
Billions of dollars. We lose close to $2 trillion a year on trade. We lose $1 trillion a year to China. $1 trillion. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars a year on trade to China. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars overall, probably close to $2 trillion. Why would we do that? Number one, why would we do that? And then you have to say, is it sustainable? Then you hear about all of the people that say, well, deficits, if we have a deficit with the country, or if the country has a big surplus with us, like China has a massive surplus, that they take and they spend on their military. Well, we don't want that. I don't want them to take $500, $600 billion a year and spend it on their military. I don't want them spending money on their military. And I shouldn't have to spend money. We shouldn't have to spend it either. Because, you know, hopefully, and I said this to President Xi, hopefully it's money that we're never going to use. In other words, because we're not going to use those incredible weapons that we have and that they have. We don't want that. So it's going to be very interesting. It's the only chance our country will have to reset the table. Because no other president would be willing to do what I'm doing or to even go through it. Now, I don't mind going through it because I see a beautiful picture at the end. But we are making tremendous progress with a lot of countries, and the countries that really took advantage of us are now saying, please negotiate. You know why? Because they're getting beaten badly because of what's happening. They're getting beaten badly. They're being devalued as countries. But it's the only chance we're going to have to reset the table on trade. And when we do, we're going to come out unbelievably well. We're going to have a strong country economically again. And we're going to have those factories that are empty all over the United States. We've lost 90,000 plants and factories. Think of this, 90,000, you wouldn't think it's possible, 90,000 plants and factories since NAFTA, which was, by the way, the worst trade deal ever developed, ever had by any country anywhere, NAFTA.
All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So we just dropped the Altcoin Secrets Guidebook for you guys to be able to get right now through the link below. I know I talked about this a long time ago, but it wasn't the right time to release this because Altcoin Pro wasn't ready. And now that it's ready, You guys can get instant access to this ebook to profit big in crypto without risking your entire life savings. It's free. It's easy to read. This was created in 2024, but it's still practical today. And all you need to do is click the link below, click the yes, give me access on the page, enter your best email address so we know exactly where to send the book, because in this book, you're going to unlock the 23 secrets to pinpoint the next explosive altcoins by understanding trends, narratives, and spotting low cap gems before the crowd piles in, how to time entries and exits like a pro, so you can know exactly when markets are overvalued or oversold to lock in life-changing gains, build a bulletproof portfolio, break free from the rat race, and outsmart the 99% that are buying tops and selling bottoms, so that way you can become a top 1% investor. I know you guys are going to love it. Right after you put in your email, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. You can watch this video right here to get instant access to our Altcoin Pro research team for early altcoin picks, live expert-led weekly calls, pro technical analysis. So I know you're going to absolutely love it. If you get value from this video right here, I know you're going to get even more value inside of Altcoin Pro. But with that being said, let's dive into this video, because the Federal Reserve is having a closed meeting this morning in response to what's going on in the markets. And Donald Trump said that America was rich until 1913. So do you know what happened in 1913? Well, the Federal Reserve was created. So what Donald Trump is doing right now is to try and get the Fed to lower interest rates and pivot from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing, so they start adding to their balance sheet again, because he obviously knows midterms are coming up, and if the economy is doing terribly by midterms, it's not going to look so hot for him. So this is a very bold move, but will it work out? We will see. But let's dive into the data to see what the charts are showing us right now.
America is going to be very rich again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know, the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words, relatively. And they set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary, because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money, and that was all made through tariffs. We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
And so in the short term, this is obviously creating volatility. People are panicking, they're freaking out. But in the long term, it's actually very smart, because everyone hates the IRS. No one likes paying taxes. That's why the ERS, the External Revenue Service, was created to create tariffs. And overall, that will bring more money to the country, and it's already started. So we need to take a macro zoomed out look here and just look at the charts. And I thought TechDev made a great post here pairing up Bitcoin with the global business cycle and what has happened each time, every single bear market, bottom to bull market peak, and how it has been longer relative to the global business cycle when we touch down on this ascending support here before the breakout happens. And so while a lot of people are impatient right now, because everyone was expecting the 11th of March high to hold and for us to break out from this range right here to make new highs, the exact opposite happened, and the market broke down back to this previous range right here that we were consolidating at in the middle of 2024. So is this a good entry point right now before the market reverses to the upside? Or are we just going to continuously bleed out into Doomtown to go all the way back down to the levels that we were at all the way here in the middle of 2023? Well, the noise in the market, particularly the fear and doomsday narratives, has reached a fever pitch recently. It's easy to get swept up in speculative driven panic by political viewpoints, emotional reactions, or the loudest voices online telling you how bad this is. You watch these videos to get the data and to get the facts. And so we're going to talk about the signals based on liquidity and business cycles, forces that operate completely independently from the most recent headlines that are created to create panic or fear in the markets to get clicks on these different news stations' websites. So despite the significant volatility and persuasive negative sentiment over the past couple of weeks, the overall roadmap remains on track. We are currently navigating the expected corrective consolidative phase right now for Bitcoin to the US dollar. Whether we see slightly lower prices from here locally or consolidate around current levels, this chart right here from TechDev suggests that we will be exiting the bottoming zone by the end of April this month, and projects Bitcoin to reach roughly 160 to 180K by the end of 2025. Now on this chart right here are scenarios that could play out mapped against both price action and the relative strength index, while intraday volatility might make the exact lines slightly dated already. For example, this chart was posted, and as you guys can see, the blue scenario is playing out right now, where the green path involved a resolution and breakout from the correction before mid-April, but the blue path that is currently following entailed a longer bottoming process involving new local lows, perhaps even down to the $70,000 region, though precise levels are less important than the timing and the structure before resuming the uptrend. So let's elaborate on the structure basis for these scenarios, because we've been here before. This framework developed through extensive study underpins the outlook for the remainder of the decade. So pay close attention to the color coding of the major corrective waves and their associated parabolic advances. The key takeaway for understanding today's price action is the interpretation of the 2021 to 2023 correction as a large degree wave 2, likely an expanded flat, and the current correction as a much smaller degree wave 2 in the L8 waves, exhibiting similar expanded flat characteristics. When we compare Bitcoin to CFDs on gold right here, on the weekly chart, you can see CFDs on gold consolidated at the previous high from 2011 to 2013, from 2021 to 2023 for wave 2, before breaking out to wave 3 to a new all-time high. So while Bitcoin did break out to a new all-time high, it's coming back down to backtest the previous range that it consolidated at for 200 days. So both corrections then are interpreted as wave 2s of different degrees, likely forming as expanded flats. This fractal similarly provides a basis for comparing their bottoming phases. So the blue path that we just discussed allows for the final C wave to potentially make a new local low before the correction completes. So this comparison allows for a more extended bottoming process, more so similar for what happened during the C wave for Bitcoin's bear market bottom. So of course, analyzing wave structure in isolation can be misleading. The context provided by the business and liquidity cycles is paramount. If we weren't arguably at the bottom of the business cycle, the very point that has historically preceded Bitcoin's most parabolic moves, this local wave structure analysis would carry less weight then. So it's also crucial to understand the nuances of global liquidity's relationship with Bitcoin. So critics rightly point out that, global liquidity isn't always a perfect leading indicator. There are instances where liquidity trends higher while Bitcoin begins a major correction, and this is what I referred to as the offset when we talked about the 70-day or the 110-day offset. However, as the chart right here illustrates, these divergences marked in red typically occur near the top of the business cycle, and conversely, near business cycle bottoms, marked in green. So the correction is much more direct. Rising global liquidity has consistently led to rising Bitcoin prices. And you guys can see right here where it's circled in green on the chart based on the global business cycles for copper to gold, MACD, Bitcoin's price chart, along with global liquidity. It was right before Bitcoin exploded to the upside. So given that we are currently positioned near a potential business cycle trough, the leading nature of global liquidity becomes highly relevant here. And shifting global liquidity forward by approximately 3 months, which is the yellow line to match it up based on Bitcoin's current price action on the chart, the lead time has exhibited relative to Bitcoin since the 2023 bottom, providing compelling evidence. And this alignment strongly suggests that, current prices for Bitcoin and the price action represents a bottoming zone. So with liquidity trends pointing towards an imminent resumption of the uptrend, eventually the bottom for Bitcoin will come in just based on global liquidity alone. And so if we just look at a few altcoins here, one of which being Solana, here's a bearish scenario to keep on the table. Structurally and on the RSI, an argument can be made that Solana is positioned similarly to Ethereum cycle top in 2021. If this path holds, it's anticipated a significant corrective bounce, potentially to the 0.5 or the 0.618 fib retracement zone of the recent decline before a much larger move down. So traders aligning with this view might consider exiting longs or establishing shorts on such a bounce for Solana, which would be interesting to see if this plays out similar to how Ethereum played out during the bear market. So in order to invalidate this, we would need to see Solana go all the way back up to the high and break it and hold it as support, in my opinion. Otherwise, this next bounce would be a retracement for a continuation to the downside. Now, on the contrary here, the bullish scenario would be a wave 2 expanded flat. Alternatively, the current action can be read as, a wave 2, similar to the Bitcoin pattern discussed earlier. In this case, the orange circle marks the likely bottoming zone based on the relative strength index and corrective structure. So confirmation here to understand which scenario is going to happen and how to play this. Well, confirmation would come from reclaiming the 0.618 retracement level on the bounce. So if we just draw right here from the high for Solana at roughly $295 to the low, the 0.618 would be roughly $218. 0.5 is about to $194. And so Solana just broke below this key zone of support right here. And so for Solana to find a bottom here and reverse to the upside, the first area that we need to watch is this resistance right here. If it makes it through that, the next area is the 0.5 to 0.618 zone. And the liquidity cycle adds weight here because the potential Ethereum 2021 analog occurred at the business cycle top, whereas we are currently near a cycle bottom. So the structural setup that mirrors a cycle bottom, which is the wave 2 flat, aligns better with the current macro environment. Now, if we compare Ethereum to Amazon stock here on the monthly chart compared to Ethereum on the 2-week chart, the comparison is purely structural here, obviously. Both represent speculative risk assets, exhibiting similar large-scale wave patterns after significant corrections here, where the comparison with Amazon was during the 2008 crash to 2009, then the recovery after that. And this crash for Ethereum has been absolutely massive, which is why a lot of altcoins are not breaking out, because we have not seen an ETH season yet. And a lot of altcoins trade on Ethereum's blockchain. And if we look at another leading layer 1, SUI, that exploded this bull run cycle, and if we look at the current structure and the relative strength index, the yellow zone highlights the potential bottoming area for the current smaller degree wave 2. So if this support holds, the trend-based fib extension suggests the following targets for 2025, where the first target would be about $9.80 and the second target would be about $16.40 for SUI. And that was before the price broke down. With the price dropping, a 4.236 extension puts it at $17.37. Now, that's not a guarantee. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. This was analysis from TechDev's newsletter, so definitely check him out on Twitter. But I find it interesting how SUI has just come back to backtest the previous highs from February of 2024 and also the high from March of 2024. That it struggled to break out until November of 2024, made a new high, and now it's just coming back down within this region right here, while Bitcoin is finding a bottom as well too. So I would expect us to work our way through here until the Fed pivots, lowers interest rates, and then to see a bounce in the market at some point. And if that bounce doesn't happen and we just continue to the downside, then that just presents an even bigger opportunity to back up the truck for the dip. Because even looking at XRP right now, XRP is at $1.94. We can see the bulls are aggressively defending XRP because these massive wicks to the downside. Even with Trump's tariff news when it first got announced, look at this massive wick. It just shows that the bulls step in to buy up XRP. So I'm extremely bullish on XRP, even though we've been in a downtrend and we've sold off over 50% in January. If you go to cryptobubbles.net and you zoom out over the past year, it's definitely one of the best performers, up 226%. Over the past 365 days. But if you hold XRP and you want a strategy to know how to profit in crypto, if it goes down further or just consolidates sideways, now's the time to educate yourself. Get our Altcoin Secrets guidebook to discover the 23 secrets to become a crypto millionaire. And it might not be about becoming a millionaire for you. Maybe it's about supplementing the income at your job. Maybe it's about surrounding yourself with the right people, learning new skills. Money's just a byproduct from the skills that you develop, because in order to become a millionaire, you have to develop the skills that it takes to make $1 million. When you develop the skills, that's how you make the money. If you get lucky one time and you haven't developed the skills to maintain or keep that money, you're going to lose it because your unconscious mind is going to self-sabotage. So click the link in the description below, put in your best email address, click yes, give me instant access, and you'll learn all about what we've created that is the gold standard of crypto education to help you capitalize on opportunities during this dip, because that's where you make your money when prices are low. For example, our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1, 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. 1,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called SUI, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree, if that's a goal of yours. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you before they expire. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside.